All right, so are you guys ready to do a little bit more practice with absolute value problems? Okay, so what we're going to talk about in this video is whenever you have an absolute value problem that's in this format, so it's absolute value of x minus c, so that c stands for some number, is equal to d, so another number, okay, then we can actually use, we could solve it the way we've been practicing, but we could also use a number line. So let's take a look at an example here. X minus 3 equals 5. In this example, that minus 3 is the c value, okay? So that's going to represent the center number on our number line. But what you got to remember is that it's always opposite of what you see here. So x minus 3 means my center is at positive 3. So I'm going to draw a number line with positive 3 as my tick mark number, okay? Then the 5, that represents the d. So that's the distance from center. Okay, so from 3, my center, I'm going to go 5 units to the right, which would put me at 8. And I'm going to put a filled in circle there. And then I'm going to go 5 units to the left, which would put me at negative 2. And I'm going to put a filled in circle there. Those two circles represent my two answers. Because what this problem is really saying is that I'm looking for the numbers that are 5 units from the number 3. And those numbers are 8 and negative 2. So my answers to this problem are x equals 8 or x equals negative 2. Okay, so let's take a look at another one. So the problem will often say solve with a number line. So I'm going to draw myself a nice number line here. And I look at the number inside the absolute value to find the center. In this case, it says x plus 2, so that means my center is going to be at negative 2, because the plus 2 is the opposite of where the center is. It's negative 2. The reason it's negative 2 is because that's the number that would put this at 0. So we're trying to get it back to the center of 0. So if I pick negative 2, negative 2 plus 2 equals 0. So my center in this problem is negative 2, and my distance is 7. So I'm going to add 7 to both, or to the right, and negative 2 plus 7 puts me at 5. And I'm also going to subtract 7, so I move left. Negative 2 minus 7 would be negative 9. So each of these spaces here is a distance of 7 units. So the negative 9 and the 5 are my two answers. So I put the filled in dots there, and then I say x equals negative 9 or x equals 5. And there's my two answers. So in these two problems, we've found the solutions using the number line. The next two examples, I'm going to give you the solution, and we're going to use a number line to create a problem that would have those answers. So example 3 says, write an absolute value equation with the solutions x equals 5 and x equals 17. So my goal ultimately is to write an answer that looks like this. X equals absolute value of x, and then there will be some number there, and then it'll equal some number. So my first job here is going to be to create a number line. So I'm going to write a number line, and I'm going to put these numbers on there, 5 and 17. Remember, this part of the answer here, or the equation, represents the center. So I'm going to find the center between 5 and 17. Okay? It's the halfway point. So sometimes you might be able to just think through it, but sometimes the numbers won't be easy enough to think through it. So when that happens, the way you can find the center is to find the average of the two numbers. All right, and you guys know how to find an average. You add the two numbers up and divide by 2. So off to the side, I'm going to go 5 plus 17 divided by 2. That's 22 divided by 2. So my center equals 11. So now I know that my center is 11. Okay, remember it's always opposite in here, so my equation is going to become x minus 11. Right, and then I need the distance. Well, how far is the distance between 11 and those two solutions? Well, 11 to 17 is plus 6. 11 to 5 is minus 6. So that distance is 6. Okay, so This one, remember, represents the distance. So my equation is absolute value of x minus 11 equals 6. Let's try one more. So in this one, trying to find an equation that has the solutions x equals negative 14 and x equals 2. So I'll start with my number line again. Negative 14, positive 2. All right, I'm not sure what the middle is, so I'm going to find the average. Negative 14 plus 2 equals, or divided by 2. That's negative 12 over 2, which equals negative 6. So this time my center is at negative 6. Okay, so I already know that my equation is going to be absolute value of x. It's the opposite, so this one will be plus 6. Equals, now I need to find the distance. Well, how far is that distance between negative 6 and negative 14, or negative 6 and 2? Well, let's see. We could think about that. To get back to 0, this would be 8. Or sorry, 6 plus 2 more is 8. So the distance is 8 units. So my equation is absolute value of x plus 6 equals 8. All right. Hope you have a good weekend.